Joe Rogan spoke with Mel Gibson, and it got psychotic. Let's listen.
What is going on with your back? You've had back issues in the past, right? We talked about that the last time you came on.
Well, I was born scoliotic,
Yeah.
So it's like I just bought my own pen along so I could click the shit. You remember?
I don't get it. What's the joke? Am I missing something? He brought a pen so that he could click it?
Here, take all devices away from me.
I can't believe you remember. You remember clicking on the pen? That's hilarious.
Wait, was it last time he came on Joe Rogan's thing, he was clicking a pen? Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, I'm a fidget, so I let me take everything off. It's not good. Oh yeah.
One of my big problems with Mel Gibson is that A, he's a QAnoner, and B, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like many years ago, he was pulled over by a cop. He was drunk driving, and this cop just so happened to be Jewish. Oops. Mel Gibson says a whole bunch of anti-Semitic garbage to him. Like, oh my God, he said the most wild shit. I don't even remember what it was. Let's see. Mel Gibson apologizes for anti-Semitic abuse. This is 18 years ago. Apologized for his despicable remarks after an LA police officer claimed that the actor had shouted a barrage of anti-Semitic abuse, including a claim that Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Oh boy. Gibson, 50, was arrested in the early hours of Friday after he was found driving his Lexus along the Pacific Coast Highway while allegedly drunk. A 3/4 full bottle of tequila wrapped in a brown paper bag was found on the floor. He was booked on suspicion of driving under the influence of alcohol and released on $5,000 bail. So it got really bad. He was canceled. It says Gibson blurted out a barrage of anti-Semitic remarks about quote-unquote fucking Jews. Gibson yelled out, "The Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world." Gibson then asked, "Are you a Jew?" It just so happened that he was. Oops. The incident gained further attention when it was alleged that the LA Police Department had tried to cover up Gibson's offensive remarks. A spokesman had told reporters on Friday that Gibson had been arrested without incident. Allegations of favorable treatment of the star are now being looked into. Anyway, the point is that he was guilty, dude. He said some vile shit to people, to this Jewish guy. And come to find out, now Gibson is a part of the QAnon belief system, which is a Nazi death cult. It's a rebranded Nazi death cult, is what it is. The similarities between QAnon and like the Nazi beliefs is uncanny. The South Park Gibson wasn't really too exaggerated. I haven't seen that, but there isn't too exaggerated for this guy. Like, he's really, really depraved. He's a depraved human being with disgusting, evil beliefs. He is a bad human being. And, I gauge whether somebody is good or bad, quote unquote, on their intent. Like, are they just a sucker? Is it just a sucker? Maybe he's just a sucker and he fell for all this nonsense, in which case he thinks he's a good person. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He's just a fool. But as you'll see as we listen to this Gibson thing, that's not the case with Mel Gibson. He outright, knowingly, intentionally lies on Joe Rogan. He lies. Like Ben Shapiro, he lies to people knowingly. I cannot overlook that. You're a piece of trash if you do that shit.
Born slightly scoliotic, and then of course I banged myself up over the years.
Of course. Do they do anything other than surgery for people with scoliosis?
They do, because I don't want to do surgery. Once you start opening stuff up and fooling with it, there's no going back.
Yeah, a surgery isn't ideal, but sometimes it's the best solution.
Especially the back.
Yeah.
Back's a rough. I've never met anybody that had like fusions or anything where it turned out good.
No. And like
I mean, it turned out better than it would have been otherwise, but yeah, my dad had fusions. He had degenerative disc disease where his back just kept crumbling, basically, kept falling apart, and it was a mess.
Hippocrates, the father of medicine, he said, in any ailment, look first to the spine. And it was like, he's kind of right. It emanates from the core.
What? What does that mean? Socrates says any ailment you should look to the spine? I don't think the flu has anything to do with the spine. I don't think that, I don't know, just athlete's foot has anything to do with the spine. What are you talking about? What does that mean? It's meaningless trash. Socrates was an idiot, okay? Yeah, he had a couple of really cool ideas. And you know what? I'll give you this. He was a savant for the time. But certainly compared to what we understand today, he was dumb as dog shit. Really. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
Well, if your back is fucked up, everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how strong your arms and legs are, if your back is fucked up, you're...
Bro, that's not true. Your arms and legs could be fine. Maybe you can't use your arms and legs as well, but they're not, like, messed up. What are you talking about? The spine is not like... This is like saying, I know that the brain is in the head, but I feel feelings in my chest, so I believe that my brain is actually in my chest, not in my head. I mean, I know science, whatever, medical science says it's behind my eyes, but I'm pretty sure it's in my chest because of how I feel. That is how stupid this is.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. Your brain, everything goes to hell.
Yeah, well, you're in pain all the time.
Yeah.
People with back problems, like, they can't think straight because you're always like,
That's true, yeah. My dad, well, I assume he had back problems. I mean, he had Munchausen syndrome, and he lied about a lot of that. But anyway, yeah, it can be bad. It's not fantastic.
You know, it's always...
There's a gift to not thinking straight.
Yeah, why don't you sit in chronic pain so that you can not think straight since it's a gift? What? I'm telling you, dude, this guy needs help.
Tell me more. I want to know.
Well, it actually takes you down some pretty weird paths, you know.
Yeah, and that's a gift? What?
If you're happy all the time, I don't know. You don't have to strive to find thoughts to make yourself happy.
Right.
So it's like it's a good predisposition, I think.
I agree to that. Yeah.
What the hell does it? It's a good predisposition. Do you know what that word means?
I think being happy all the time is it's kind of an unlikely scenario.
No, nobody is.
Yeah.
No, but we all want it. You notice we all yearn for it. There's that's
What, are you telling me that we shouldn't yearn for happiness? I don't understand. And who uses that word, by the way, yearn? What a word.
the only thing we all want, right?
Right.
Just happiness, little peace.
Well, it's also we're shown it like in, you know, television and movies. Like
Sure.
we're shown happiness as this goal. Like seek happiness.
Sure.
Should be happy all the time. Happy.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the human condition, looking for happiness. What the hell are they talking about? You know, Joe Rogan pretends to be like this deep thinker, and I've come to find that the things that he says are just dumb as dog shit. Like all of them. They're just really fucking stupid. They're not intelligent. They're not like deep or any of that. They're just fucking stupid and meaningless. All of it. All the way down.
Should never be upset.
No, well,
It's not realistic.
it's completely unrealistic. However, it's
Did anybody ever say that you should never be upset?
nice to have those little journeys through art where you can actually explore those things. You can explore your ids, you can explore happiness, and so you can experience the opposite. I look at situations around me and I generally feel pretty grateful from what some people go through. I'm
Sure.
grateful.
Yeah, you should. You're like a millionaire. I would expect you to feel grateful.
And everybody's got their crap, you know. But
Well, I will take whatever he's got going on over anything else, pretty much. People say money doesn't buy happiness. Yes, it does. I challenge you on that. Money absolutely does buy happiness. I don't know if money buys happiness, but I know that jet skis buy me happiness or bring me happiness. And I know I can get a jet ski with money, so... In a roundabout way, money does buy happiness. And you know what? When you are like stressed over money or whatever, you're less happy overall because, you know, you got to pay the bills and you don't know where it's coming from next. And you're just eating yourself alive with like anxiety and fear and stress and whatever. You cannot be happy when you're in a constant state of that. Money does buy happiness. It does. The idea that it does not buy happiness is a delusion granted to the poor by the rich. I will die on this hill. Money buys happiness. Other things buy happiness too, families. In fact, maybe the best kind of happiness is attained with family and things like that. But I posit you cannot be happy, like actually happy, if you are destitute. You can have good things in your life, but happiness is unattainable if you're destitute, in my opinion. And you don't know where food's going to come from when you're stressed about money. Right. Money buys happiness.
This morning, for example, I would be surprised if my home is still there.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. The Palisades is on fire.
Yeah.
My friend.
I don't know what the Palisades is, and I'm sorry to hear that. That's really rough to lose everything like that. I'm sure he had a lot of important things there. But you know what? I'm less sorry for him than I am for, I don't know, the homeless guy that like lives in LA, for example. I'm less sorry for Mel Gibson than I am for somebody that lives in like an $800 a month studio or whatever. Because Mel Gibson says he lost everything. No, he didn't. He didn't lose everything. He lost almost nothing compared to what he had. He lost his physical items, but he still has an obscene amount of stocks and credibility in the film industry. Even if he did lose literally everything, including all of the money that he has now, it would take him 6 months to build it back up again. So I don't want to hear it. I have literally zero sympathy for this guy. Zero. Because A, he's a complete scumbag, and B, he didn't lose everything.
And Tom Segura, his house is gone.
Yeah.
It was where he used to live. He sold it, luckily.
Yeah, I have a son. He's in the sort of volunteer fire brigade, Milo. I call him the mayor of Malibu. And he's running around. And I asked him, how's things looking there, Milo? He says, not good, Pops. He says, your neighborhood. And he sent me a video of my neighborhood, and it's in flames. It looks like an inferno.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think this will get you out of California finally?
Yeah, maybe.
Where are you going to go?
Oh, I don't know. I got a place in Costa Rica. I love it
Ooh,
there. Yeah.
Costa Rica.
See what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. He didn't lose everything. He didn't even lose a fraction of his stuff. He has a place in Costa Rica. Are you shitting me? Wow, I'm so sorry, Mel, that you lost your house. That's really heartbreaking. But which house was it you lost exactly? Which one? Was it house number 1, 2, or 3? Was it the one in like Costa Rica or LA or New York City? Which house did you lose, Mel? I'm sorry, man. My sympathy is like through the floor for this dude. I'd have more sympathy if he wasn't a complete piece of trash, but he is. So
It's nice.
Yeah, I bought there many years ago. And
Yeah?
it's in a real nice spot. It's not too touristy or, dirt roads. So it's
Nice.
off the beaten.
Does it feel safe out there?
Pretty safe. I think, look, no place is safe. I mean,
Mel Gibson is saying, well, the place feels pretty safe. Trust me, Mel Gibson's mansion in Costa Rica is safe. It is safe. Probably lives in a gated community with like a guards that he hires 24/7, honestly. And think about it. Like, do you know how much it costs to hire a team of guards that will like watch your shit 24/7? Not as much as you think. Imagine for a moment, okay? You got 3 people working in shifts and maybe a 4th that manages schedules and stuff. He's paying about $250,000 a year. And how many millions of dollars does he have? He can have he can have guards that watch his shit 24/7. A team of 4 guards watching his shit. And it's not even a drop in the bucket for him, is my point. If you just have one guy guarding your shit 8 hours a day, you're only paying $40,000-$50,000 a year compared to the millions that you have.
you've got the Darien down there,
What's that?
It's kind of in the, what's the next country down? Panama.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this no
Oh, that one that Trump wants to take, right.
man's land where the Colombians come through, and it's like, all kinds of dirty dealings in the jungle with, who knows, drugs and mules and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Drugs and mules and drug mules.
Yeah. So,
Why didn't you say what you're really thinking, Mel? We know you're a QAnoner. Just say it. Drugs and mules and child trafficking and adrenochrome. Just come out and say it.
it can be dangerous, and I've heard of danger happening there. You hear about somebody getting chopped up by a machete. And Costa Rica it's actually a cool place because
You hear about that? Who told you about that?
It never had a culture of death like a lot of the Central American countries did. They have a culture of death, you know. Even
what does that mean?
in Mexico, I mean, they used to, tear people's hearts out and pyramids, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Brother, like every old culture used to do that. I'm not sure what you're talking about here.
Aztecs were like the Romans, the Mayans were like the Greeks, but they all sort of dabbled in some stuff. Costa Rica always had a policy where they was like the Switzerland of Central America. They emphasize education and health, and everybody's literate, and it's kind of interesting in that way.
Interesting to hear what he values. He values literacy and things like that. You know that the best way to achieve a literate country is through democracy? I am very confident that Mel Gibson is not in favor of democracy in the United States anymore. He is one of the biggest Trump fans. He believes that he's like part of the Trump theology. Believes that the dude is like secretly like working against the cabal and shit is what I'm talking about. He's gone. His mind is shot to shit.
But it deals with its own little troubles.
Yeah. Well,
like every country, corrupt.
Anywhere down in that part of the world is just like there's so much sketchy shit going on all around you.
Yeah, there can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, one has to be forewarned, forearmed, all that, So I have a nice place down there.
Yeah, I have some friends that have a place in Mexico, and I'm always like, don't you ever worry?
I mean, Mexico has some plenty nice areas. I don't think anybody needs to really worry if they know what they're doing. It's like New York City. It's perfectly safe. You don't have to worry about anything here. Like, I'm totally comfortable walking around anywhere just about in New York City at night. And, I don't worry about like getting stuck up or any of that. Like maybe Harlem. I probably would stay away from 125th Street after dark. But, I've wandered all over like Manhattan and the boroughs and stuff. And I've never in my entire life here ever really worried about my safety. It's a perfectly safe place to live.
Yeah, I worked in Mexico a couple of times. I was down there, and it was in Veracruz, and apparently, people were rolling heads into bars and stuff like that.
Well, okay. He says apparently. So this is not something you saw. This is just something that people told you about. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. You just cannot convince me of that. Yeah, Mexico can be a dangerous place in some areas. It can be questionable. Obviously. It's people are not rolling heads into bars and stuff. Maybe like in some random spot in Mexico. Like, I don't know. I'm just having a hard time believing this.
Rival gangs and stuff. And they said, I'd go for a walk, and they'd say, you're crazy going for a walk. You'll get kidnapped. I said, I'm not going to get kidnapped. I'm the guy that pays. You're going to get kidnapped.
Okay, we got a Breaking Bad scene here he's reenacting.
And I'm not going to pay your ransom. So it's like, I never felt insecure in that way. And, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If your number's up. I know, I used to watch guys who do what I do for a living, and they'd have a phalanx of bodyguards around them, and like for security and stuff. And I used to have that stuff for a little while, but it doesn't make any difference. You're going to be okay.
Okay.
Or not.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, I have a degree of fame that doesn't even come close to rivaling Mel Gibson's, but I get recognized. Like, there's a guy in my building that recognized me and talked to me on the elevator. You wouldn't think that so many random people know who you are, but they do. And I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about like getting accosted or anything. Most people are not going to come talk to you because they have this perception that like famous people don't want to be bothered. I don't mind it personally, but a lot of famous people actually do mind it. They don't like to be bothered. Yeah, most people just leave you alone.
Or not, right? Yeah. Until you're not.
Until you're not.
And everybody's going to be okay until they're not.
Yeah. I got in a dodgy situation one night, and I acted crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh no, is he talking about the guy, is he talking about the cop who he started telling, calling him a Jew and saying he was responsible for the world wars or something? Is that what we're talking about? Oh, please tell me that's what he's referring to.
What happened?
If you act crazy, everybody leaves you alone.
Especially if you are a little crazy.
Holy Christ, dude. This guy hit me with a poisoned arrow. What a douchebag.
If they know.
You're in a stress mode, so you actually get angry. If I feel like I'm threatened, I get angry.
Yeah, I'll tell you how to deal with it. Like if somebody is threatening you, you start acting like you're going to fight them, get right up in their face and you take your pants off. Like you're going to fight with your pants off, because you always fight with your pants off, That scares the shit out of people. They don't know what to expect next.
Which is what happens. And then you get really in people's faces and they think, this guy's crazy. But all the old cultures thought that, like when there were people traveling across the Great Plains to go west, if you acted nuts, they'd leave you alone because they didn't want your evil spirits.
Oh, so what happened with you?
Oh, nothing. They left me alone.
But where was this?
Oh, man, I was in a bad neighborhood. It was when I first got into
Well, tell us which neighborhood, Mel.
L.A., and I was to go to dinner with Costa Gavras. He was a Greek director. I went the wrong way. And it was before they had, phones with
right.
All that stuff. So
the Thomas Guide.
It was the Thomas Guide anyway.
I remember the TomToms is what he's talking about, I think, right? The little GPS things in your car?
I wasn't guided well by Thomas. I ended up in the wrong place. And then my muffler fell off. And I was driving a Mercedes, pretty nice sporty car, And I thought, and I had the wife in the car. And I pulled into a side street. The sun was going down. And
oh, you guys remember TomToms? My mom had one of those when I was little.
As I got out of the car, I thought, I got to fix this muffler. I can't just drag it. People started coming from houses. And they came up to me, and I saw them coming in the rearview mirror. And I jumped out of the car and got in their face. And I said, what the fuck do you want? Because I felt threatened.
Right.
And the guy said, man, I'm just looking for some money. You got any money? So I was being mugged. And it
Okay, I don't know about that, but I guess I'm just going to follow him through on his story and assume he's telling the truth.
was like, I thought, I'll think about it when I'm fucking finished, And I opened the trunk. And this is the weird part, Joe. I will never quite understand this. I opened the trunk to see what I could find to help me put the muffler back on. And sitting there, the only two things in the back of the trunk was a pair of wire cutters and a coat hanger. It's exactly what I needed, and I don't know why it was there. That's weird, isn't it?
I mean, because you put it in your car? Did you think maybe that was why? You think that shit just appeared in your car randomly? You think that a pair of wire cutters and a coat hanger just appeared in your trunk? Like, what, God put them there? Why did God let you, be in that situation in the first place? What are you talking about, bro?
That's very weird. So you used the coat hanger to wire up your muffler?
Yep. I cut a piece of wire, wired the muffler up.
Oh, I thought he was going to say he's going to, stab somebody with it or something. Okay.
The whole time, more guys are coming.
Jesus
And
Christ.
they're standing behind me, and I'm feeling like, oh. And anyway, I get up, I finish the muffler, slam, and I'm acting.
Yeah, if you get, aggressive with people, get up in their face and start screaming at them, or you say something real low and quiet to scare the shit out of them, they'll usually leave you alone. Anybody will. Even people that are mugging you or whatever, unless they pull a knife, if they are threatening you physically like they're bigger than you or something, you can intimidate people pretty easily for sure.
Mad and crazy the whole time, and they think this guy's nuts. And I get back to the car, and my wife gives me a handful of cash. And I thought, what's this? She says, it's just fives and ones. Give it to her. So I threw it and drove off. But it was looking hairy for a minute.
It sounds like they weren't going to mug you. It sounds like if they were going to mug you, then they would have pulled a knife and pushed you against the car and taken it or something. I don't know. That doesn't sound like... Has he ever been in a serious situation where he was being mugged before? It doesn't sound like he has. Maybe. I mean, hell, I wasn't there. Maybe he was interpreting that correctly.
And you never know.
What year was this?
Oh, my God. Back in the 90s.
Fitness isn't just about what you do in the...
Oh, my God. He's taking sponsorships. I didn't realize that. Okay, let's jump forward. No sponsorships for me. Thank you, sir.
.com/Joe Rogan. Seriously, get on this. So things are more dangerous now.
I think they are.
Yeah.
Bullshit. They are not more dangerous now than they were in the 90s. They are not. Certainly not in like New York City, for example. This place is so much safer now, like by a mile and a half than it was in the 90s, for example. Like, it was kind of a shithole in the 90s. Nobody would take the subway because it was like a dangerous place, you know? No longer. I mean, I take the subway all the time. I even take it after dark. It's a perfectly safe place to live.
I think so, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, we were just talking about the wildfire situation and how crazy it is that they spent $24 billion last year on the homeless.
Yeah.
And what did they spend on preventing these wildfires?
Zero.
Zip.
Zip. And in 2000.
Bullshit. You trying to tell me you think that California spent zero on, well, I guess wildfires, on trying to contain wildfires or preparing for the wildfires or something? Do you really believe that? There's no way in hell these people believe what they're saying right now, right? There's no way.
In 19, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything. And
Yes, he did. What are you talking about? Newsom did a ton of shit for like the forests and shit. What are you talking about? This is just completely fictitious nonsense.
And on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, they didn't. As far as I understand it, the water didn't work out of like the hydrants because it was destroyed by the fires. Like the lines were destroyed by the fires, to my knowledge. There's so many conspiracy theories out there about this, about the fires, the LA fires.
Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars
Hilarious.
probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed. It's so frustrating and confusing. And then he gets on TV and
like, I can't speak to how poorly managed California is. I doubt it's poorly managed. We're talking about LA, not California. And LA has a mayor that handles a lot of this stuff. Gavin Newsom is like, responsible for like all of California, not just LA, for example. So it's obviously a lot more nuanced than they're letting on here, but a lot of the stuff that they're saying is just fictitious garbage.
Pretends like everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
And California's the best. We have the best state. We have the most amazing economy. And like, you're right.
Sadly, New York City is kind of a mess. I'm really disappointed to say. The government here is a mess. Eric Adams is the mayor, and he's bad. He's a Republican pretending to be a Democrat. Like, he's even said some crazy Republican shit, like, we need to get church back in these schools, and we need to, get teachers to pray with the students, and he said even crazier shit, like, New York City is special because there are gems under Manhattan whose energy emanates out and, like, changes the personalities of the people that live here. No joke. I'm not joking. Eric Adams is a complete piece of trash and out of his head. And corrupt as shit, too. He's about as corrupt as they come. And, at least in part because of all of that, New York City is turning into a mess. Like, the city government is just rough. But anyway, it's because of corruption and all of that, sadly.
Out of your fucking mind, dude. You've ruined this state. Like, personally ruined it.
Well, it's the same.
Gavin Newsom personally ruined California. Did you really just say that? Gavin Newsom personally ruined California? I mean, California's economy is bigger than some countries. It isn't ruined. But all right, whatever.
Same team that was up in San Francisco, and they came down to L.A., and they're doing what they did in San Francisco. And
yeah,
San Francisco's kind of like...
What, making it gay? What are you talking about?
Like apocalyptic now,
Yeah.
I went there, and it's just like people...
Yeah, it's all the gay people, right?
Homeless, it's a mess.
It's just unbelievable that society can crumble that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It really is unbelievable.
It doesn't take long.
No.
Yeah. I read a book once by Jared Diamond called Collapse. Have you ever read that book?
Yeah.
Crazy, right? It says all the things you need for a civilization to...
Jared Diamond, Collapse. It sounds like something I'd be willing to read. I'm rewriting my book right now, the Jehovah's Witness one. Actually, not rewriting. I'm just editing, cleaning it up, changing some of the verbiage and things, making sure that there aren't any like typos or anything, because I didn't edit it the first time around. Somebody else edited and formatted for me. And I'm not happy with the job that the editor did, so yeah. How They Choose to Fail or Succeed. 2005 book by an academic and pop science author. Well, I'm not a fan of pop science. That's not really useful. I may get this book. Let's see here.
Cave in and collapse. And a lot of the things are present. All those earmarks, the precursors of a collapse, they're present in our time. So it's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
And we're no smarter than our grandparents, I don't think.
Well,
We're no smarter than our grandparents. I mean, I don't think we're smarter, but we're more knowledgeable by like a mile and a half, like so much more knowledgeable. It's crazy. It's that we don't even, our grandparents don't even hold a candle to the knowledge that we have today. We entered the information age. Our grandparents were not in the information age. The internet changed everything for humanity. Everything. Like we have, as a species, grown and evolved and improved so much that it's like it's impossible to quantify how much more in like knowledgeable we are. It's absolutely insane. So you're incorrect, good sir. We are at least more knowledgeable than our grandparents.
well, that brings me to one of my favorite movies of yours, is Apocalypto.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when the Mayans were running things, like who could have ever thought when they had such an incredibly sophisticated society, unbelievable construction, like the stuff that they had built, that one day you just walk through there and there's nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing and nobody.
In fact, there's something, because it's interesting. Somebody was flying by what they thought was a volcano in the 30s, some buzzboy. And he thought, hey,
What is a buzzboy?
that's somebody built that. Wait a minute, there's 4 by 8 foot bricks. That's man-made. And it is literally the biggest pyramid in the world. It's bigger than the ones in Egypt, and it's in Guatemala.
Oh, bullshit. Okay. Guatemala pyramid. You know why the pyramids were so incredible? At least in part because they didn't have wheels when they were built. And these things are like multiple tons. They weigh multiple tons. How do you move a gigantic, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 ton slab of rock with no wheels? The answer is sleds. They put them on sleds and move them. There's a big quarry nearby, to my knowledge. So the point is that it's doable, but oh my God, it is impressive. Now, I don't know about this Guatemala thing. Maybe it existed, maybe not. Who knows? But like the impressive part wasn't building a pyramid in the first place. That's totally doable. It's doing it without proper technology. It's the incredible part. And I guess there is a pyramid in Guatemala, El Mirador. I don't know. Nor does it matter.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Yeah, it's a recent discovery, right?
Well, not that reason. I was maybe 20 years ago. I visited. I went down there with the archaeologist, a guy named Richard Hansen, who's from Idaho or someplace. And he's down there with his family. He's been working tirelessly for like 30 years trying to extract this pre-classic city from the jungle. And there's not a bunch of tourists. All the pyramids in Tikal would fit inside the one big pyramid in El Mirador.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe. I don't know, but it's irrelevant. I imagine the El Mirador pyramid was built way later. I mean, pyramids are kind of structures that humans like to build anyway, right?
Yeah, it's a monster. And so that tells you that the pre-classic civilization was bigger and grander and more sophisticated.
No, it does not. I'm not sure how old the El Mirador pyramid is. Let me see. How old is El Mirador pyramid? Over 2,000 years old. Okay. We'll say it appears between 400. Wait. Oh, okay. So the pyramid started being constructed in 600 BCE. So 2,600 years ago. But completed construction, basically, in 200 CE. It reached its peak between 400 BCE and 200 CE. And the Egyptian pyramids, on the other hand, they were built 5,000 years ago, 4,500 to 5,000 years ago, versus 2,000 years ago. And the wheel was invented in 3500 BCE. So, hang on. Egypt. 1 second. Egypt got the wheel, like they invented the wheel around 2500 BCE. So it was after most of the pyramids were already built, or after all of them were built. I'm not sure. That was the impressive part. This pyramid is built thousands of years later. Not as impressive. I mean, wow, that's crazy. Yes, that's really cool. Humongous structure, very impressive for an older society, but it's not as impressive as the pyramid. I'm sorry, it's not as impressive as the Egyptian pyramids. It's just not.